They don't find the time to learn, and how can they retain what is being talked about, for instance, here. And so the key insight is it must be easy to learn, it must be also, the technology must be used for making it easy, and it must be a push system in order to do this. So the idea is basically, I mean, if you want to use the metaphor, it's the one from the pacemaker for the heart, the pacemaker for the brain, but actually in terms of learning you don't need it for the brain, but you need it actually for the memory. So this is the way it works, and it feels like this. You're working on your computer like he's doing now, then he's having a phone call, then after the phone call is over, there comes a bubble up and says, for instance, do you want to learn now something? And then he says, yes, I want to learn. I want to take 3 or 5 learning steps about what the people have talked about, innovation here from Nokia. So then there's this learning card coming up, and it's basically like multiple choice cards, single choice cards, recall cards. There are various different kind of cards, and you do a learning activity basically by reading it, then answering it, and then you get right away some feedback. And that's very important, that you get feedback and that you are actually also engaged with the content. And then basically the system tracks the learning progress in terms of the server, which basically, memorizes what actually is your learning progress. So the idea is basically to get into a learning flow and to do so on a regular basis. And the biggest challenge is to keep people from being enthusiastic about it, because the enthusiasts say, oh, I'm going to do 10 learning steps, but they do 10 learning steps for 10 days and then they break off. It's much better to do 5 learning steps than to do it for the next 6 months. So that is basically the idea. So there are different kind of learning cards you can see here, which are for different kind of things. For instance, this is just for normal recall. This is for exam preparation. This is very well suited for complex content. There's incorrect answers and correct answers being pointed out. And then there's also a kind of context card which you can open here if you're clicking on context, and then you get an explanation both of the question and also of the answers. And here you can have multimedia content in there, hyperlinks and everything else. So basically this push system opens up an entire learning space, but it makes it simple so that you are actually engaging in it. You set yourself the cards, you can do the settings, and you can select a number of different kind of courses and things like that. The important thing is that if learning is easy, it's not enough to be sustainable. It's only sustainable if the authoring is easy, because the biggest problem in terms of e-learning systems is that the authoring is being complex, outsourced, and expensive. So what we have is you have a very simple web interface, but you can also use an Excel sheet for it. And so everybody can use an Excel sheet, and you print it out and you make your corrections, you share it with other people, and so on. But you can also put it over the content, over the internet. And then the Excel sheet is pre-programmed so that you cannot make any mistakes in terms of, for instance, semicolons and columns and dots and things like this, so that when you upload it, you have not a problem. But the idea is basically you make the changes, and within 6 to 10 seconds you have uploaded the entire system and you have updated the entire content. So there's a customizable interface for administration. You can see a clear overview of courses, all the learning cards you can see here, the users. You can track the statistics on the courses, what's the progress, how many people are there, what is their progress there. You can compare users and groups of users and courses. You can basically build up the statistics on the learners and coach them and train them and support them, and also measure their performance, and you can do this. The tactics behind it is basically to get the explicit knowledge from the short-term memory into the long-term memory, and to make sure that your training and learning investments are not actually misused. And behind it there's a neurophysiological insight from the Nobel Prize of Eric Kandel, which basically looks at where the neurons are connecting to each other. And when you see here is, this is the neuron and this is the synapse, and if there's a regular stimulus here, you basically see that the synapse grows. And that's basically how this knowledge pulse works, and that's the neurophysiological reason for memory training, actually, of this type. Behind it is this learning card system, and basically making small steps, repeat the steps, do it regularly, and be effective, so that you're building up really the knowledge, and that's basically what it is. And the success factors is it's a push technology, it's regular activities, it motivates people, it tracks individual progress, and it allows to benchmark, and it works also on the mobile phone. So that's it.
Thank you.
And I can